Welcome everyone to the Phoenix Report. I am Jack Connor, and it's been a little while since I've done this. It's I've managed to do a couple movie reviews here and there, but it's been the first time where I've had more than just like one other guy I'm doing the review with. So this is pretty cool. Avengers Endgame. I mean, what more can I say? This movie. I mean, this is the culmination of a 22 movie story arc that's taken place over the last 11 years. I mean, if everybody and their mother knows about this movie, so I figured it was about time to do a spoiler review / discussion. I'll give you guys a little bit of background. I didn't see this movie the first weekend it came out. Unfortunately, I waited a week. It was a whole thing. My wife wanted to see it with me, and it was the only night we could get out that was kid free, and it happened to be a week after the release, which is not too bad. I think I did a pretty good job of avoiding spoilers for the most part. I definitely tried to dodge that minefield if I could. And but I think I did a pretty good job. There were a few things that I kind of heard about, but I didn't really understand the context. And I was still pleasantly surprised by the movie. I loved it. And so I mean, what more can you say about that? We're gonna say a lot more, obviously. Otherwise, this would be a really short podcast. So with that in mind, let's just turn it over to the guests. Obviously, if you've been tuning into this show with any regularity, you know this guy. He's been a regular of mine pretty much from day one when it comes to movie reviews. John Walters is back. What's up, man?
Hey, what's up, man? It's been a long time, but it's good to be back and good to be here.
I mean, right now I feel like you and I are Tony and Steve after post Civil War, just getting back together.
The OGs for sure.
Right, it feels good. It feels right.
Yeah. Yeah. No, do you trust me? Do you trust me?
I trust you.
Right.
Very cool. And of course, we have another guy who's been actually one of my earliest podcast guests, and some of you who've listened regularly, you might have heard him do Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse with me. He's back here with me from St. Petersburg, Florida. Marco Bojkovic. What's up, man?
Jack. How you doing, listeners?
All right. It's good to have you back. Marco, of course, is the guitar player for a great band called Particle Effect. Check them out if you can. And so, yeah, guys, tell me a little bit about your experience seeing this movie. John, I'll start with you. Did you see it opening weekend?
I did. I actually saw it on that Thursday night that it opened. So technically, the 25th instead of the 26th.
Okay.
Which is it's kind of crazy that they do that. It's like, it opens on the 26th. Avengers is not the only one that does this, but every movie does this, where it's like opening Friday, but it's really the Thursday before. They have like 6:00 p.m. showing.
Yeah, I mean a lot of these big name releases, they do a lot of that. Which, look, yeah. I'm not going to complain about.
No,
chance
not
to see
at all.
The movie a little bit early, so be it.
Yeah,
have fun.
Yep.
What was the environment like in there? I'm sure people must have been going nuts.
They were going nuts. It was a little more, I don't know, crowd, not friendly, but like definitely a lot more. I don't know what the word is, but active audience, I guess you could say, vocal audience, you could say, in that movie. I went to go see the 10 o'clock showing, but I was meeting a buddy of mine. You've met him, Jake, but we were going there at 9:30 to try and get in line, and I'm like walking up to the theater with my hands over my ears because I know the 6 o'clock showing was just getting out, and you got a ton of people. I'm like, somebody's going to be talking about it, some kind of conversation, and I'm just going to keep my ears closed.
It's crazy you say that, because like I've heard stories on the news about people like spoiling it for other people, and then like those people and the people who did the spoiling ended up getting the crap knocked out of them.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Probably deservedly so, but that's not for me to judge. But I don't condone that behavior, of course. But
right.
Hey, that's what you get sometimes.
I actually just got done watching it a second time just a few hours ago, and there was a pretty big difference between this audience and the opening night audience. Opening night audience was, I don't know, maybe a younger crowd or something, but it was definitely a very vocal audience. It was crazy.
Do you like that or dislike that as a moviegoer? Because I kind of enjoy the energy personally. It's almost like going to a concert in a weird
Right.
way.
Right. No, it's like it's one of those things where at the very least, you sign up for it on opening night. You kind of have to expect it, even if it doesn't happen. You kind of have to expect it, and
there are going to be a few diehards in there. So
yeah. I mean, if I had to choose, I'm at this. I don't know. At this stage in life, I really like having feeling like I have the theater to myself.
Yeah. No, there's something to be said for
I
that.
mean, yeah. I mean, I have fun with the audience being vocal. I do. If it happens and it's opening night, then I just kind of laugh with it and go along with it because I know that's part of it. But if I really had my choice, I like being able to like take it all in myself. But what I do like is seeing other people's reaction to it after I've seen it. So yeah.
Gotcha. So Marco, did you go see it opening weekend, or were you there with anybody, or just went solo? What was the deal?
I saw it opening weekend with my dad.
Cool.
In fact, my mom actually got mine and my dad's tickets kind of last minute. There were a bunch of sold out times, but my mom managed to find one at 1 PM at Cobb, the new movie theater by Tyrone Mall.
Yeah.
So she bought us the tickets, and so Dad and I, of course, used the bathroom before we left.
Good.
And then on the way
strategy.
there, we queued up a song I actually wrote for the Avengers back when I was still in St. Pete Catholic called Avengers Assemble.
Oh, you actually wrote a song
Sent
for
this
the
to
Avengers?
them, and I'm like, yeah, I wrote a song about the Avengers.
Or inspired by the Avengers, I should say.
Yeah, and fun fact about that song, there's this guy who works for Marvel Comics. I'm not sure if his name sounds familiar to you, Bill Roseman. He's like a head editor or something like that.
Okay.
No.
I actually showed him that song, and he said it makes me feel like the Avengers are going into battle, and that made my day. Like I was really stoked to hear that.
Where do you know him from?
He gave a seminar at USF St. Pete.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty rad. You've been able to keep in contact with him, so that's cool. Are your mom and dad are they fans of the Marvel movies? Have they seen? They've probably seen a bunch with you over the years. Are they into it like you are?
Not really as much. My dad is kind of close, but my mom is kind of indifferent.
Gotcha. Because I know, like with my mom, she loves Robert Downey Jr. And so she she really enjoys all the Iron Man movies that she's seen, and she hasn't seen all of them, of course, but the ones she has seen she really likes.
So has she seen this one?
No, she hasn't.
Oh boy.
I'll tell you guys a pretty inconvenient truth.
Say what?
I have to tell you guys a pretty inconvenient truth.
All right, Al Gore, lay it on me.
Dad's not too crazy about Robert Downey Jr.
Your dad's not too crazy about Robert Downey Jr.?
No.
Why is that?
I really don't know. I mean, he says Robert's okay, but not stellar.
Just doesn't really like him as an actor, or doesn't like him as Tony Stark? Like,
I don't really know. It's a tough question to answer. Like, maybe he likes him a little bit as Tony Stark, but maybe as a whole. Like, again, it might be.
Does he not like him as the person, or does he not like him as like his talent as an actor?
That's a good question. Yeah.
Likes his talent. Like,
okay.
I think like he likes Robert as Tony, but
Okay.
Maybe he didn't dig Sherlock Holmes. I don't know, but either way.
Well, I will say with Robert, he is in Sherlock Holmes, and he did I forgot what that other movie is, but during all this superhero stuff, he is very I mean, it's definitely Tony. It's definitely Robert Downey Jr. It's like that it's him.
He
it's
is
like
Tony Stark, basically.
he is, but I mean, like it's
literally.
like it's like you don't watch a different movie and feel like that's a different person.
Mm-hmm.
Even with Sherlock Holmes, it still feels like maybe it's Tony in a different era. It's very very similar.
I mean, I even like some of the
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Oh, so what about Benedict Cumberbatch?
I think John felt the same way about Benedict Cumberbatch as Sherlock Holmes.
Well, you know what? I haven't seen Benedict in Sherlock Holmes, but I love Benedict Cumberbatch as an actor. I think he's got a wide range of like talent. You know, like him as Spock in the new Star Trek movies.
Khan, yeah.
Spock. I know why I said that. Him as Khan. I don't know why I said Spock, but yeah.
Big difference.
Khan, I mean, like, very, very different than, Doctor Strange, obviously, but he's very talented. I like him, but, like, I mean, I do like Robert Downey Jr. too, but I would have to say that he's very similar in a lot of his roles. So maybe that plays a part in what your, dad sees.
Well, there you go. Well, now that we've got that in-depth critique from Marco's dad, that's good to know. So
tell him about this.
Yeah. Oh, please do. Apologies, Dr. B. So, so getting into the plot of the movie, I mean, you guys all know it. I'm just kind of reading down the Wikipedia, just kind of going through it chronologically. I mean, think about the end of Infinity War for a second. Probably, I can't think of a bigger cinematic cliffhanger ending like that.
Yeah.
Just a crazier ending to a movie than the one to Infinity War.
It's almost like it wasn't even a cliffhanger, to be honest with you, because I would have to agree, Jack, for sure, because when you know it as an Avenger movie, it's definitely a cliffhanger. But if you took out the title, it almost, and you didn't know it was an Avenger movie, it almost is like its own movie, because it really starts out with Thanos trying to find these stones because he's got an objective to do, and then you have these, the good guys, superheroes, getting in the way, but he ends up accomplishing it at a cost, but he ends up accomplishing his mission, and he's able to rest now. I want to
ask you guys something.
Yeah, what's up?
Isn't it nice to see the bad guy finally win?
For Infinity War, you mean?
Well,
yeah.
When he wipes out,
it's definitely nice.
When he wipes out half of the life in the universe, I'd have to say no. I'd have to disagree with you on that.
Maybe not wiping out half the universe, but in general, having the villain win, it's a nice change of pace. I mean, we all know eventually the good guys have to win, but why not give the bad guys a shot at the gold?
Yeah, it's like those.
No, but I mean, those are see what you're saying. I do see what you're saying.
Those are good intentions, but I mean, that's not really a good role model for.
The stakes are a bit high on this one.
Yeah.
I do see what you're saying though, Marco, and I do agree with that to a point. But I mean, you could almost say that the Infinity War almost reads more like Shakespearean or a Greek tragedy, where where that happens. So in that sense, it does have that kind of narrative. But it was pretty wild how it started off, and how Captain Marvel ends up rescuing. I didn't. Before we get into that opening sequence of Hawkeye with his family.
Yeah,
oh, man, that was just heartbreaking.
That was heartbreaking.
Yeah, that was definitely heartbreaking. I would imagine most people kind of knew that was coming. I seen similar to that for a Hawkeye was coming, but man, it still hits you right in the feels, man.
Right. Yeah, I mean that.
Can you guys imagine that? Losing your families just for whatever reason?
I mean, bro, we both got kids, so it's we don't want to imagine that, but I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. The writer Stephen McFeely hitting us in all the McFeelys once again.
Yeah. The only thing I didn't like about that scene was, I understand the artistic point of view of it, was that was right when he realizes that they're gone, he kind of is running out to the field. They ended up having this shot I call it shaky cam shot. Mm-hmm. And it's, I get it. You're supposed to be, it's almost like you're running with him, trying to find your family, but it really gets you dizzy. I thought so. And then the first time I saw it, and then when I saw it just now Jen, I didn't even say anything to Jen, and Jen turned to me and she was like, "Why do they do that shot? I have a headache just
wow.
looking at that, you know." And I was like, "Yeah, don't worry, they don't do that again. It's only for that shot." And she goes, "I understand. You're supposed to be like down there on the field with him, but man, why would they? Why? It's a horrible shot."
Man, Jen with the critical filmmaking
Yeah.
technique.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah. That's
Yep.
that's funny, but yeah, I mean the thing about the whole snap thing and like half the people vanishing, I remember talking to Seamus about this, and he kind of likened it to the rapture in the Bible.
It is. Oh yeah,
It's
definitely.
it's very much like that. It's very, I mean, it's very biblical in that sense.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But
It's not new. I can tell you that.
right.
You know, well, a lot of things aren't new. A lot of things are taken from biblical context and just put it in a like modern time storytelling. You know.
I mean that in and of itself is like sort of a scarier thought, because they went 5 years in the movie with all these people being gone, and it's like, man, what kind of you could tell so many stories about what kind of effect that would have on the world.
Hey, I don't know if you listened to our Infinity War review or not, but I was able to call it on that. I said, I think the next time we see these Avengers, it's going to be sometime they've had to deal with this. It's not just going to be like, a month later or next
Yes.
week they're going to resolve it.
Yes, you did.
So, well,
You-
on my part, not like I had inside source or anything.
No, right. No, but
So-
you called it, John. It was very impressive. But it's funny. I remember at the end of Infinity War, it was me and Christina were seeing it, and I don't think she realized that that it was a part 1 of 2. So at the very end, she was like, "What? That's how they end it?" and I'm like, "Babe, they're making another one next year."
Like, well, everybody's reaction is that way. I mean, even if you knew there was going to be another one, it's almost like, it's like kind of like what Marco was saying. It's like the bad guy won. What?
Yeah. And I was telling her, I was like, "Yeah, they're making a part 2 next year," and she was like, "Well, you didn't tell me that." So there was that. Oh, sorry, Marco. What were you trying to say?
I forgot, but I'll say something else.
I hope
Did it
so.
seem like everybody knew that there was going to be a part 2, or no? I feel like Christina might have been the only exception.
Maybe. I think she might have been the only one on the planet who didn't know. But regardless,
I would say most
I want to
people.
skip this part. If you ever listen to this with her.
right? Trust me, she's not listening to this. But going back to the scene with that we all saw in the trailer with Tony and Nebula in the spaceship, kind of floating out there in the void. They blew the fuel cells. They thought that they were about to die, and then Captain Marvel shows up. Now, how she knew about where to go and how to get him, I have no idea.
A little convenient.
Yeah, super convenient. But
yeah.
But either way, she was there, and she basically flew the entire ship back to Earth. And
so there's a bit of a contradiction in this scene and the end credit scene of Captain Marvel, because she's flying back for the first time to Earth, introducing herself. Movie, but then at the end of Captain Marvel, she shows up at the Avengers base right behind Cap and Black Widow, because they were looking at the pager. They were like, "Keep this thing on. I don't want the battery to die, whatever." And then all of a sudden it stops working, and then she shows up right behind them. So I was like, so when they showed that,
that could have been just after she put the plane down. I mean, you never know.
yeah, maybe.
Who knows?
No, it couldn't have been right after the plane was down, because remember they all ran outside to go see the ship.
Right. Or wait a minute. How about this, John? Do you think she possibly stopped back to Earth and then they let her know, "Hey, Tony's out in space. You better go get him." And then she went out and got.
Well, I thought of that until they started introducing themselves in this movie. So
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it's like, why would they reintroduce themselves if that was the case? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. I didn't.
You know, they.
Honestly, I didn't even remember that end credit scene. Marco and I actually saw Captain Marvel together.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Do you guys remember what I'm talking about? The end credit scene?
Vaguely.
Does she introduce herself to the Avengers?
She introduced herself to I mean, was it Black Widow and Cap were like looking at the beeper and trying to figure out why it stopped, and then they turn around and she's right there behind them. So it would have made, I don't know. Could they have said, "Can you go get Tony real quick before we introduce ourselves?" And then I don't know.
I honestly, I didn't even remember that end credit scene, but I'll have to check it out again. But
sure, yeah.
But it was kind of cool. I mean, look, the convenience of it all, however that happened.
Right.
She got them back to Earth, and and they ended up going and tracking down Thanos. Who's basically in retirement mode. He's all messed up from the gauntlet, and that whole sequence where Thor just cuts his head off, just right there out of nowhere. It's like
he cuts off his arm.
Yeah, within the first. It's like within the first 15 minutes of the movie, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
It was crazy.
Finally went for the head.
Yeah.
Yep.
He literally went for the head.
He even said that, they're like, "What'd you do?" And he's like, "I went for the head."
Oh, that was great.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, that was a crazy scene. For sure.
That kind of put a wrench in their plans, and then they do. They skip ahead 5 years, and it's funny when you think about it. Someone pointed this out. I think I was listening to Kevin Smith, and he mentioned that it's like, the true unsung hero of this entire thing is that random rat that shoot on the thing that got Scott Lang out of the quantum realm.
Yep. Well, I
forgot about that.
Yeah. I have to laugh at that, but I kind of believe more of that storyline than some of the stuff that goes on in here. Some of the out of pure convenience, but. Just to move the storyline. But I mean, it kind of makes sense. Crazier stuff where it's like something got pressed because an animal or whatever else pressed it when they weren't supposed to, and then, or in this case, supposed to, which helped.
And it's funny. I remember we were talking about, and John, I think you were the one who brought this up last time we talked when we did the Infinity War podcast, that the quantum realm might factor into how they end up beating Thanos, and which it did. Because if you remember in Ant-Man and the Wasp, there was a whole thing about how time passed a little bit differently in the quantum realm, and that ended up being the case when Scott Lang got out of it, because, for him it was only 5 hours, and but he was there for 5 years and hadn't. Paul Rudd doesn't age anyway, let's be honest, but But yeah, there he was, and
I loved it. I loved his whole acting in this one, especially when he's just figuring out that's 5 hours in the world. He's starting to figure out whoa, a lot of people died, and he's looking for his family's name.
Yeah,
that was all really good. And dude, I have to say, that scene where he sees Cassie, growing up, oh my gosh, it just kills me as a father of a daughter, it just kills me to see that.
Dude, you just missed 5 years, just like that. That's crazy.
That is crazy.
And, people, we all know Paul Rudd's a funny guy, but, he's able to pull off those dramatic beats, really convincingly.
Yeah.
And that's really cool.
Yeah,
and
I have to say, a lot of the acting in here, I'm not a big fan of Brie Larson's acting, but a lot of the acting in here is so good. It's so good.
Yeah,
both funny and emotional. I'm sorry, what'd you say?
It feels genuine.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
they're acting it actually shows how they're actually feeling.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and you can be there with them, that hurts, for sure.
It's funny, I remember when Ant-Man, the movie, was announced, people laughed at it, like, Ant-Man, like, he's not going to be important. Well, he was pretty important in this one.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the beauty of it. So, and then we catch up with Tony and Pepper, and they live, like, out in the country, and they have a 5-year-old daughter now, which they had kind of hinted at in Infinity War, that they wanted to settle down, and I don't think that had ever happened in the comics where they had a kid. Yeah.
Please tell me you taught your daughters to say "I love you" 3,000.
I haven't yet. I haven't yet. Although every time I say that, I'm like, I don't. End up being that it didn't turn out so well for him. So I kind of don't want to say it.
Right. Well, mine's a little bit too young to repeat that, but yeah, she's getting better at it every day. But we'll see. But yeah, that's pretty funny. But
you know what? You know what, Marco? We love you 3,000. If that makes you feel any, that's a consolation.
2002.
You're a little bit more 1,500 for me, but that's still pretty good. I'm just kidding, buddy. But yeah, so and it was kind of cool seeing Professor Hulk, really, which was what they called that run of the Hulk in the comics during the 90s. I think it was Peter David who wrote that arc where Bruce got control of the Hulk, and he got the body, but also got his intelligence there, which that was pretty cool to see. I'm surprised they didn't really change Ruffalo's voice and make it deeper when he was in the Hulk's body. You know what I mean?
Yeah, probably because it still looks like the Hulk. Mm-hmm. So even though it's obviously Professor Hulk, it looks more like Hulk than it does Banner. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's the consolation. That's the give and take is the him with his actual voice.
Right. I feel it was a little weird to see the Hulk wearing glasses. Like, why does he need glasses?
Professor, like, he's supposed to sound smart, right?
Right.
And maybe having him like not do the Hulk voice, but his normal voice was probably a better judgment call,
Yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, he wouldn't be Professor otherwise. I mean, that makes sense.
But I'm just laughing. It's like,
can you imagine being taught something by a guy who sounds like the Hulk?
Okay, I'm here to teach you the theory of quantum physics. Like, what? I would actually rather Hulk Hogan be teaching me that, but regardless.
Teach you something, brother!
Let me tell you something, dude. Anyways, getting off track. Yeah, so, where were we? And then we saw, it was kind of funny seeing Hulk and Rocket. For one thing, the visual of seeing those two hanging out is like them off on another adventure. Is pretty funny. But they
Guardian of the Galaxy. So I'm happy he survived.
Right. Yeah, he was the only one of the Guardians who didn't get snapped out, and so Rocket and Hulk end up going to New Asgard, which I think it was in Norway or Sweden or somewhere in Scandinavia.
Yeah, definitely.
But they had all the refugees from Asgard, whoever was left, and then we meet, we see what Thor's been up to.
Oh my gosh!
That was that was one of the bigger surprises to me. Seeing, I mean, they got Chris Hemsworth, one of the most handsome dudes on the planet, in a fat suit throughout the entire movie. It was pretty wild. He's,
Not to mention him talking to online players.
Yeah, like what was he playing? Fortnite or?
Yeah, Fortnite.
Of course, that's perfect.
Yeah, I have to say, talking about it with Jen, the two crap my pants type of moments were more so for Jen. This was the moment, like the biggest crap my pants moment was seeing. She never in a million years would have expected that. And then for me, the other one is, we'll get into it later, but is when Cap grabs, Mjolnir, that was the biggest, that one was number one biggest shock, crap my pants, and then the other one is seeing Fat Thor. Fat Thor was,
right.
God, I just, Thor and Cap are just my two favorite characters in this, and man, it was so funny. That was so funny.
It was pretty wild seeing Thor in there and just hanging out with Korg and Meek playing Fortnite, looking like a fat Zach Wilde.
And eating pizza. Don't forget that.
Sure.
Dude, when he saw Rocket, he was like, "Oh, Rabbit!" You know, and he's like, and he like hugs him, and he's like rubbing him against like his belly and his crotch. It was so funny.
Of course.
I laughed even harder the second time.
You know, and it's funny. You could probably argue that as the movies have gone on, it's been less Thor and more Chris Hemsworth just being Chris.
Oh, without a doubt.
But it works. But it works. And, man, it was the wildest thing was probably seeing Clint Barton as Ronan. You know, Hawkeye turning into Ronan and just going around just killing dudes.
Yeah.
Just going full-on Punisher, really.
Yeah, Jen was pretty upset about that. She was like, why is he just killing random people? Or like, why is he just killing people? I said, well, he kind of went off the deep end after the whole seeing his family thing, you know? So.
Yeah, so he was like taking out guys from the Yakuza and like cartels in Mexico. Like he's just like a one-man reign of terror. So it was pretty wild, but it was cool. I mean, obviously Natasha tracked him down and she kind of talked him off the ledge a little bit. And
and that moment was so good because even though we saw it in the trailer, it's really good because it's probably the first time Clint has like, you know, had that kind of what should we call that?
Spotlight, really.
Well, not just a spotlight, but when he held hands with the first time he probably held hands like that since his wife, you know?
Yeah.
Like that kind of connection.
You know, I mean, that was the thing, because I had heard that in the comics that they had gotten together for a little bit. I don't know. I don't know for how long, but that was one of the surprises for me with Age of Ultron was that, you know, I had assumed that Cap and Hawkeye and Black Widow were going to be a couple. But they just ended up being really, really close friends. So that was the bigger surprise. But it still works. You know, it
still works because they have a huge history together. You know, because they even talked about Budapest and all that stuff together.
And they still maintain that chemistry, so you can still feel there was a closeness there.
Yeah, and that was like a good like foundation. For this movie going forward, you know, the connection between them two, because they end up going on the mission together, you know, time travel together. So that was a good scene to have.
So, you know, once everybody finally got together, then we figured out what the mission was going to be, and sure enough, it did involve time travel, like we kind of had a feeling it would, but it wasn't quite like in the way that we expected. And that was, if I had one problem with this movie, which, again, it's me just being nitpicky, really.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to figure out the rules of time travel and like, okay, so you're telling me even if you go back and change the past, it doesn't affect, you know, it just...
The present,
I mean, look, Doctor Strange, they introduced, like, the multiverse concept and theory on that, but it's tough for me to wrap my mind around a lot of that.
Yeah.
Don't look at me for that.
Yeah, no. At a certain point, I guess you just gotta kind of have to go with it.
So that's the thing with this movie. This movie is an amazing movie. Okay, so I'll just have to say that I think this is an amazing movie, but it has quite a bit of plot holes and it has some really big contradictions, especially with this whole time travel ordeal. And you know, that's just unfortunately hard to make a good time traveling movie. And they set up the rule. Because usually that's how it is with the time travel movie is you set up rules. It can be any rules. Any movie can have its own rules. So as long as you're following the rules. And they did. They actually did set up the rules in this one. But they constantly went against the rules. You know, it's like they would say, oh, well, you know, why don't we kill Thanos as a baby? And they said, well, killing him in that past won't work for this present. So anything you're doing in that quote past, it's like a different universe. It do anything for this present. You can only bring stuff to this present.
Gotcha.
And so,
Is she how it should have ended videos?
Oh yeah, we love those.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love them too. And the Infinity War one finally got disproven, and they did a good job disproving it. You've seen the Infinity War one, haven't you?
Yeah, but it's been a while.
They have like several endings in those things.
Yeah.
That's just a baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd have to go.
So in this,
I'd have to go back and watch that one, but yeah.
So in this one, they said, why don't we kill Thanos as a baby? And said, well, you can't, doing something in the past like that, that's almost like a different universe. It doesn't affect this present. But then, like, it's like, they send...
I mean, that's a whole, like, thing that people have gotten into for years. Like, well, if you could travel back in time, would you kill Hitler as a baby? Or whatnot?
Right. Yeah, but then they end up sending Cap. Cap ended up going back in the past.
And as we saw, Deadpool almost did that.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyways, but like Cap goes in the past and then he becomes old in this one. Well, he's old in this one because he ended up going in the past. Well, that completely contradicts their rules of the whole, what you do in the past doesn't affect this present.
Right.
And it's like, this is their way of bringing back Loki, right? Because Loki got the Space Stone and portaled away. But, like, it's supposed to be that,
That's right. I completely forgot
about he's alive. That. Even though, quote, now he's alive, he's still dead in here. Well, that's according to those rules they made, it's not true. You can't affect the past you can't affect the future by affecting the past.
Right. Like, so there's a whole alternate timeline where Loki gets away after the first Avengers movie. That's crazy.
So basically anything...
I completely forgot about that part.
Yeah, and they're doing that because they have a whole series with Loki on the Disney.
That's right. He's getting his own show.
Yeah.
Of course. Of course he is. Loki is?
Yeah, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, he's getting his own little adventure show. I think it's like Loki and Bucky or something. It's like Loki and somebody else. I forget what it is, but
I'd watch that.
Yeah. So I mean, like, it's like it's one of those things where it's like, if you want to do that, that's fine, but you can't state the rules saying you can't do that, and then you go and do it. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, there's like quite a bit of plot holes in there.
Oh, I mean, time travel
and potholes.
I mean, time travel is such a tricky plot device. It really is. So I could spend hours talking about that, but
Yeah.
I will say that they did it in a very fun and entertaining way, and just in a really cool way to pay homage to all the other movies that came before.
Yes. Yeah.
I really loved the sequence where Tony and Steve went back to 1970, and and you saw a young Hank Pym, and and Peggy was there, and I forget, and the cameo from Stan Lee was really fun as well.
Yeah. Make peace, not war, or whatever. So.
War.
Oh, I do have to say this. Here's another one of the whole, out of pure convenience. And again, I would rather take a rat randomly pushing a button to get, Scott Lang back, rather than you mention something to Tony. He refuses any kind of help or information, and yet when he goes in that night, he just zooms in on a couple of things on the computer, and all of a sudden he's figured out everything about time travel in the quantum realm.
Yeah, that was pretty wild. I mean,
yeah,
even for Tony Stark, that was a bit much.
Yeah, and Jen said that before me even say anything. She's like, oh, so he can just zoom in on something and he figures out the quantum realm and time travel. Okay. I'd rather have the random rat than Tony all of a sudden figuring it out in one night because their friends mentioned something to him. He didn't even have any kind of research from Hank Pym or anything like that. He just figured it out.
Hold out Tony, because you remember in Avengers 1 when a person asked him when he became an expert or something, and he said last night.
So that tracks.
Yeah. Yeah, he's
John.
he's
That's my.
yeah. Well, they've
I was just thinking
definitely.
about that. Yeah.
I've told Jack this, and they've definitely elevated Tony to like godlike intelligence.
Yeah.
I mean, very god. Movie 2 times, and the first time is him figuring out time travel very, very quickly because someone mentioned it, and then the second one is we'll get into this later, but the second one is like, you know, so I told Jack about this later, but earlier, but you know, with Asgard, they're like, you know, light years ahead of us in technology, Earth technology,
Right.
and yet they had to go to these like mythical giant dwarfs to make this crazy gauntlet or whatever to contain all the powers of the Infinity Stones. But yet when you tell Tony, he hasn't even studied one, and he barely studied one Infinity Stone. But as soon as he gets all 6, you know, easy peasy, I'll just make a gauntlet myself that can contain all of the Infinity Stones and work properly.
Right.
You know, I mean, those are like, man, you talk about like 2 major convenient plot holes, like wow, he is godlike intelligence. It's
Right.
crazy.
I mean, not to mention the injuries he should have suffered with his years of crime fighting. Like, he should have been dead a few times over already.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
So
Not by planes.
right.
And,
And you know, don't get me wrong. Again, this is an amazing movie. I loved so much of this movie. It's just, it's not a perfect movie. It has its flaws, you know. But this is an amazing movie. I'm not bashing it because I don't like it. I love this movie.
I mean, the fact that this movie even got made the way it has is a magic trick. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah.
But all the
11 years to develop.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And just, but I mean, all the time travel sequences were a lot of fun. Like seeing them go back to what happened in the first Avengers movie was really cool to see.
Oh man, that was amazing. That was so amazing.
Yeah, it was such a nice piece of nostalgia. And
did you guys laugh at the Hulk? You know, him telling them to smash because he has to blend in,
right,
or something like that. Did you guys?
That was pretty funny.
How could I have not?
Yeah, that was pretty funny seeing Bruce like look at like an earlier version of the Hulk and him just being like embarrassed. It's like, oh god, that was me. Like, what?
Well, that's a sign that he's matured.
Exactly.
I don't know what it was. Maybe the first time I saw it, it was so late at night that I wasn't laughing as much at that scene. But man, when I saw it the second time around, like today, I was dying at that scene. I was cracking up pretty bad.
Seeing Bruce pretend to be the Hulk.
Oh my gosh. Good. Oh my gosh. He's like barely lifting anything and barely like smashing anything.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I mean, even going back to the 1970 thing, like even that scene with Tony talking to his dad, like that was actually really well done.
That got me hard. That got me really hard.
Whoa, calm down, buddy.
Well, I was sitting with my dad during that scene, so how could I have not felt something?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, man.
I don't know if that's the way I'd want to put it, but I see what you're saying.
No, that was a tough. Sure, that was tough to see. You know, almost. I mean, any guy can relate to that.
Absolutely.
Even if you don't have a good relationship with your father, you could still relate to that. You know,
and that's kind of what this movie was all about. It's like, you know, giving people second chances. That seemed to be a theme throughout it. Like when you saw Thor interact with his mom. And
oh my gosh, yes, that got me.
Yeah, you get all these you get these rare chances for these characters to kind of say their goodbyes and kind of you know, have this second chance to do the right thing, and it was just really touching. And and even when they went to 2013 Asgard, which by the way, I read on Wikipedia that Natalie Portman did not come back.
I did read that too.
And those were just like some outtakes and like other footage they used from Thor: The Dark World that they kind of superimposed in there.
And it's easy to CGI a CGI character like Rocket in that scene.
Mm-hmm.
You know. I didn't actually know that until after I saw the movie.
I wonder if they tried.
So it's
I wonder if
crazy.
they tried to have Anthony Hopkins come back for that scene, but maybe he didn't do it, so that's why they got Rene Russo. I don't know.
Well, you know, Rene Russo
Now-
was. Go ahead. What?
I'm on Wikipedia page right now, so I'm trying to see if there's anything about Anthony Hopkins here. It said Natalie Portman did come back.
Oh, she did?
So I think
And appears as Jane Foster through unused footage from Thor: The Dark World and new voiceover that Portman
That's
recorded
it.
for when Foster appears talking in the distance.
Okay,
Yeah.
so she did the new voiceover at least, but like she didn't really film new stuff on camera. That was just old
yeah,
footage.
right.
But yeah, no, that's an interesting point though. I love the sequence of Rhodey and Nebula going and kind of revisiting that first scene from the first Guardians movie.
Yes.
And it was just so great.
So I laughed my head off at that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I was thinking, "Come and Get Your Love" too.
for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
For sure,
Yeah.
because like I'm like, yeah, of course, like and that was a thought I had when I first saw the movie. I'm like, yeah, why would he just be running around dancing like that? Of course, if anyone saw him, like, who's this idiot?
Yes, I love that. I loved Rhodey's like look on his face. I mean, that was the look of everybody's face in the audience. You know,
And
like
he was just so
like-
matter of fact. It's like, oh, so he's a moron. Okay,
so he's
got
an idiot. Yeah.
That was perfect.
And
That
I
was
loved
one of the best scenes ever.
Yeah,
and I also love Cap versus Cap. You know.
yeah, that was pretty wild. The
That-
whole joke about like Tony Stark talking about his butt though, like I felt like that joke kind of fell a little bit flat to me. I mean,
Yeah.
I get what they were going for, but it's just like who talks like
I-
that really?
I
Like,
thought it was pretty funny.
I mean, it was funny. I just thought it just came off as a little bit forced.
Well, I like it because whatchamacallit, Scott Lang, you know, he's like a big fanboy of Cap.
Oh yeah,
So
I did
he's-
like that part.
So
America's ass.
he's the one, yeah. So he's America's, you know, and so I thought it was just funny. So I liked it when he he got knocked down, and so present Cap got knocked down, and then 2012 Cap's like, I could do this all day, and he's like, I know.
That was perfect. That was great.
There's some
Senior Pass stuff works so well here.
yes.
It was great.
Yeah.
And
It just makes sense, and it's
Yep.
funny.
And that's
Oh, yeah.
really what this movie was all about. It's these moments of fan service, and
Yes.
it's such a nice little
Complete fan service
yeah,
for sure.
it's such a nice little love letter to people who have been with you this far. Be like,
Yes.
yeah, remember when this happened? Well, we're gonna give it to you
Yes.
again. And
Yes.
Probably the most fan service motion picture ever made.
yeah,
Yes.
I would
yeah,
agree
yeah,
with
yeah.
that. The
Yeah. And I'm happy about it. you know.
Yeah. I mean, it's totally earned. Like it's all that fan service. Like they've put in the time, and it
Yes.
feels earned. It doesn't feel like too forced. I guess, in my mind. Let's see. The sequence where Hawkeye and Widow, when they go to Vormir
Oh,
to get the Soul Stone,
man.
that was that was
That was
just
so heartbreaking.
yeah. It was just crushing. And
So you know what's crazy? Watching it the second time, right before you know how they're all standing in this circle about to time travel together. You know, it was Black Widow. She's the person that says the last thing, and she says, "See you guys in a minute."
oh, did
And,
she really? Oh man.
Yeah, she said she was the last person to say that and
Oh.
say something. And I was like, seeing it a second time around, I'm like, no, that hurts so bad.
Yeah, I gotta tell you guys, like, her dying in the movie was not something I saw coming. I really, I mean, I knew
Yeah.
there would be stuff like that. I just, I didn't really expect that she was gonna go. Like, I really thought that we were gonna have a Black Widow movie, which, I mean, look, technically that still could happen. I'm not saying that can't, but like, it just, kind of having a feeling that was gonna be the case. I didn't think that she was gonna be the one who ended up being the casualty in this one.
Yeah.
The end.
Say what?
What'd you say?
I thought she was going to come back at the end.
Right.
Yeah.
And she didn't.
She's making the sacrifice. She's dead now, but when Thanos comes in and he's defeated. Oh, she's gonna come back.
Nope.
But that didn't happen to her, and it didn't happen to Gamora either.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, well,
Yeah.
we could get into the whole thing with Gamora and what that's all about, but
Yeah.
um,
Gamora,
no.
like the thing with her made me scratch my head in the movie.
yeah. Well, again, that gets into the whole rules of time travel and alternate
Yeah.
timelines, and it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, we had present Nebula kill her past self, and then she's still alive. Figure that one out.
Again, so they play again. They have they have a rule, and they've literally gone on both sides of the rule, like of this movie. So they say in one end, what you do for past stuff doesn't present. So as in like this, it doesn't affect this universe. But yet they do stuff that's in the past that affects the present. So they do stuff that affects the past but doesn't affect the present. They do both in this movie,
So
and that's
like-
why it's confusing.
So it's like they create like time duplicates, I guess, and it's kind of like how you had two Spocks in the first Star Trek movie, for example.
Yeah. So hold on, I just wanted to get back to Vormir.
Yeah.
And,
oh god, that scene.
Bad.
Dude, that scene was amazingly beautiful but tragic at the same time,
Oh,
and
yeah.
that like these are two heroes. Of course, they're not gonna sacrifice the other person,
But like
and they
fighting
fight
each
over
other to see who gets to see who
gets to
sacrificed.
die.
Like that's
Yeah.
crazy.
I mean, it was literally to the bitter end, because I actually thought Hawkeye was going to be it when he ran and jumped off the mountain, and then here comes
And she ran
Black
like,
Widow
after him. Like my god.
Yeah, that was such a crazy emotional seeing her dead. It was like that I never cried in this movie, but I got a little bit teary eyed, a little bit emotional. Like, man, that sucks. That sucks.
Not the only one who got teary eyed at that scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I do have the idea of how they get her back.
Okay.
And so
Well, why
the
don't
whole-
why don't we save some of the future theories
Okay, all right,
until the
all right.
end? Because I
That sounds good.
I
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
do want to get into that.
Get ahead of ourselves.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
John, like, does your theory of how they get Black Widow back apply to Gamora too?
It can. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Well, let's definitely revisit that in a few minutes. But
For sure.
But yeah. So once they got back, they were able to and they were allowed Hulk to unsnap, sort of and snap everyone back. By the way, the fact that Thanos obviously found out. Thanos from 2014. He traveled into the future, so once again he's the bad guy.
Yeah. They find out, and basically, what was it? Basically Nebula is kind of the key to all that, because she is like robotic. She's very, very robotic.
So like they were basically like kind of hacked into her system, more or less.
Right. And they had to Hank. Oh, this is another plot hole. This is another plot hole. Here we go.
Yeah.
So they get present Nebula, and then they get presented with hey, look, she's got Pym particles, right? This is how she's able to travel back. So what everybody said, oh, we only have one. Everybody only has one to get back home to the present, so don't screw it up. Well, they end up sending past Nebula to the present using the using the Pym particles. So theoretically, you can't send past Thanos and his ship to the present without Pym particles.
Maybe they were able to duplicate it because
That's the only thing, is that like
they've
Ma
got
was
alien
able to.
yeah, they've got alien
Right.
technology here. So
That's the only thing
possible.
is Ma was able to duplicate it, which is never said or anything like that. But that's the
Okay.
only thing that you have to kind of depend on, is that like maybe they just somehow duplicated it before sending her to the present.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but that is definitely possible.
Yep.
The one scene which I was a little bit surprised by, like when Thanos got to the present and after everything was unsnapped, and I mean he just leveled the Avengers compound,
Right.
Which was in upstate New York, I believe, is where it was set. But like,
Right.
he just just completely demolished the building. The fact that everyone was able to survive that was
that should be expected.
Yeah.
So they have to win.
It's like, really, they drop a building on them, but nobody dies? Come on.
Yeah.
But it was fine. I mean, you're talking about Hulk and Ant-Man and stuff, and
and time travel.
Sure. At this point, nothing's off the table. But
right.
But I mean, of course,
not everything has to be on the table.
But yeah, but I agree. But what are you gonna do?
The Ancient One. Not everything makes sense. Not everything has to.
Yep.
Speaking of which, seeing the Ancient One was a really pleasant surprise in this movie.
Yeah, they brought back Tilda Swinton with that.
Yeah, and Tilda Swinton was great in her role again too.
Yeah.
I mean, how they're able to perceive time is pretty wild, because she's like, oh yeah, Doctor Strange, he's not here yet. He will be. It's like, how do you know?
That makes sense, because in the Doctor Strange movie, she says, I've seen when she's dead. Mm-hmm. She's like, I've seen this scene a million times, but yet I've never been able to prevent it or whatever,
Yeah.
So she's used that time stone to like go forward in time quite a bit.
For sure, yeah. I mean, I'm sure they just perceive time on a totally different level. When you got when you've got that kind of magic, I guess that's how that goes. But yeah, I mean, but everything got set up to the final battle at the end. They're in the right where the compound used to be, where Doctor Strange is able to come back and sling rings everybody in there. Like, it's all hands on deck on that point. And that, I mean, my God, what a just a visually thrilling sequence that was.
All these heroes that are about they had movies coming up, and we knew about that when they died. So obviously, the guys that made Endgame, they had no choice but to bring them back.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, when you're talking about characters like Black Panther and Spider-Man, you knew those guys were going to have their own movies, but
Guardians.
And the Guardians, but like, it was still, it didn't take away from the fact that it's like, oh, it's awesome, they're back, and it was such a cool moment just to see all those characters, and having this one major battle. It's like it was pretty wild to see that. It was like it came out straight out of a comic book. It was
cool. It was cool because.
Sorry, John. Go ahead.
Sorry. No. Go ahead. What were you saying?
And how about hearing Cap say Avengers?
Oh, bro!
Oh my God, that song I wrote queued up in my head. Whole scene.
I'm glad you said that, because that is a third crap my pants moment.
For sure. Guys, we got both of you. We got to work on your metaphors here.
Yeah. Nope. I'm sticking with the crap my pants moment.
You're crapping your pants. Marco's pitching a tent, and it's bad all around. Oh my God. I'm kidding,
dude. So like when I didn't really notice. They did notice it, but I mean when the portal came up and it was Strange and Quill and Spider-Man and like they were on, the background was Titan. I don't know if you guys noticed that or not, but
I mean,
that
makes sense.
It was the last place that they were at.
That makes sense, because
it makes complete sense. But it's one of those things that's like attention to detail that I didn't, because there's so much going on. Like, I didn't even look at where they were at in the background, and it was, of course, they were on Titan.
Could you imagine what that must have been like all over the world, just like random people popping up in other places, and it's like, God forbid you were in like an airplane when you got snapped out, you'd be like falling from the sky.
Oh my gosh,
that's a scary thought.
That's a little dark, but
let's not go there.
Yeah, it's probably best not to think about that. Just assume everyone was fine.
Yeah.
But no, it was just such a cool moment, and even before that, when you saw Cap and Thor and Iron Man, like those three guys, anytime you see them in full gear together fighting, it's awesome. But and you thought for sure that Cap was gonna be, thought that okay, this is the moment where they kill him, and but it wasn't.
Right.
And just, you got all those reinforcements there, and it was so great. It was I mean, it was everything you wanted if you're a fan of these movies.
But I have to say, before all those heroes came back, that fight scene with Thor and Cap and Tony going against Thanos, that was such a good fight. And it culminated with Cap getting Mjolnir. And like, not only when he grabs it, it's like this big aha moment, but like you have Thor going, I knew it. Yeah. And it's like such a payoff from that scene of Age of Ultron, because when you watch that scene, when it budges, you know, Thor is like, he gets a little nervous.
Wide eye, like, what?
Wait, he's like, so he grabs the hammer like to kind of prevent anything else, and he's just like, nope, you're all not worthy, you know. And then of course Cap is worthy, of course.
But he didn't leave it on, you know.
Yeah. And
he didn't
so
lead
that
on
was,
that he was, but yeah, that was.
And it made sense that like he was able to control like lightning also, like Cap was, because the enchantment on the hammer, of course, like his powers are lightning. You know, that was the whole thing of Thor 3. He's like, oh, I don't have my hammer, I'm not powerful, blah blah blah. Was like, well, no, your power resides in you, and that was all the lightning power. So that made sense.
I mean, clearly Mjolnir probably boosted Cap's powers a little bit in that moment.
Oh yeah. It boosted Thor's powers for sure. You know,
had to.
And so,
but yeah, wasn't it nice to finally see Mjolnir again?
Yeah, it was so cool. Wait, did you say it was fun to see Mjolnir again?
Or I think I said nice.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah, like it was a scene. It's like reuniting with your old best friend.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, in Thor's case, I could definitely see how he would feel that way. But yeah, and just, you know, that moment at the end where Tony, you know, says, "I am Iron Man," and then gives his snap, and then snaps,
right.
You know, Thanos and his crew away, and that was a really cool moment, especially one for him to go out on. I mean, you hate to see a character like that die, but like, man, what a way to go out.
Yeah.
Again, there's
questions I have about that.
Yes, go ahead.
Like, if Hulk could survive that, why couldn't
Tony? Oh, why couldn't Tony?
Yeah, you're welcome, John, by the way.
No. You said, why if Hulk could survive that, why couldn't Tony?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Well, I mean,
Hulk is stronger.
Yeah, and plus he's got gamma. A lot of it has gamma radiation, and Hulk's kind of immune to that, really. And plus, Tony is still just a regular dude underneath the armor.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
I remember now. Hulk said a funny line when he was about to make the snap.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well,
I was gonna say the plot hole with Tony making the snap is that they made this giant scene of the Hulk.
The gauntlet, yeah, I remember you had an issue with that.
The Hulk had a really hard time trying to snap his fingers because it like took everything he had in him to get to snap the fingers. But yet with did I say Tony or the Hulk?
I think you said Hulk.
Hulk had a hard time with it.
Yeah, Hulk did. But then when Tony does it, it's really easy.
Maybe Tony modded it during the battle, you know?
Yeah, I don't know.
He's got that,
again,
like, Wakandan nanotech.
There's several times Tony becomes godlike in intelligence and convenience and all that stuff, you know. So, but you know what? It doesn't. Again, like the effect of it, where he's sacrificing himself for this to get rid of these bad guys. It's very heartfelt. They do such a good job of having impactful deaths for the good guys in this one.
And it was cool even seeing Pepper Potts in the rescue armor, which they had been kind of teasing.
Yeah.
They kind of first teased that in Iron Man 3.
Yep.
So that was a cool thing. And I know in the comics she had the rescue armor as well. So that was kind of cool to see her join the fight.
What you guys think of that all-female shot, the all-female heroes scene?
It was cool.
I mean, it was okay. I mean, it wasn't... John, like, are you against the whole PC agenda?
Well, I'm not. I mean, no, it's fine. I mean, I'm not against any of it. I mean, like, I just it might have been a little bit forced, but I understand why they're doing it. It makes sense, you know. And I'm happy that my daughters will be able to get that cut.
Yeah, I mean,
get that scene, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, of course, it was obvious, but I mean, you know, it's fine. It was a cool shot.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think everybody really got their chance to shine in it. Honestly,
I was just wondering because my wife Jen, she kind of like leans over and she's like, "This is, you know, it's almost like." She said like, "Oh, the all-female shot," you know, like, "Oh, they had to, you know, like, of course they had to put this kind of shot in."
This one's for the girls.
Yeah.
I think that now's a good time for me to mention this, guys, but I'm going to be honest with you.
Uh-huh.
I spoiled myself for this movie. I looked up who killed Thanos, and when I saw this in Captain Marvel, I put my hands together, looked up at the sky, and I said, "Thank God." Times.
Yeah,
I got what I hoped for. I was hoping to God that Captain Marvel wouldn't kill Thanos.
Yeah.
That made me so happy.
Yeah, I remember when we saw that, Marco. I remember you were thinking like, man, I hope Captain Marvel doesn't come in and just ruins the whole movie. And
Right.
I don't see that happening. I mean, I'm sure she'd be able to go toe to toe with him, which she did, and you know she got some good stuff in, but he also knocked her on her ass as well. So.
Oh yeah, he got the better end of it for sure.
So I mean, I didn't think that was going to be the case, but I see what you're saying.
I have to say, like, I did not want Captain Marvel coming in to save the day only because she didn't earn it. She hasn't earned it.
No.
Not because she's not because she's a female. I don't care who, as far as like male or female, but like she has not earned it to do it. You know.
Honestly, she didn't really have a lot going on in this movie. She didn't really have that much to do.
Good.
No, all of her shots.
Clearly, Marco's not a Captain Marvel fan.
Yeah.
Which I don't think any of us are, really.
All of her shots were filmed before her Captain Marvel movie started.
That's right, yeah. So
that makes sense, though.
I had heard that she shot the Endgame footage before working on the solo movie.
Her own movie.
Yeah.
Yep.
When you take into account that they did Infinity War and Endgame back to back, it makes sense.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I didn't do an episode on Captain Marvel. I thought it was a fine movie. I thought it was okay. It wasn't.
I thought it was okay.
I really didn't like it.
See what?
You what?
I didn't care for Captain Marvel. Like, I was scratching my head the whole time at that movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't say the whole time, but it's probably my least favorite of all the MCU movies, if I'm being honest.
I think it's my least favorite too, more so than Iron Man 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. They're it's let's just say this. I don't think any
Backlash
of us
anticipated.
Yeah. I don't think any of us were too impressed with Captain Marvel. So,
no,
yeah,
I mean,
it was.
I didn't hate it. You know, I didn't hate the movie at all.
I didn't hate it.
I wanted to know. I wanted to get to know this character a little bit more, and I felt that movie didn't really do as good of a job as doing that. You know, and look, it doesn't. I didn't care if she was. I didn't care about her being a woman. It wasn't that kind of whole thing. So before you attack me on the comments, it's not about that. I'm just saying the movie itself. Okay.
Yeah.
So I feel like I have to put that disclaimer out there because it's 2019, and
it's like I like a lot of the other female heroes, but I don't know, maybe Brie Larson. I think like her acting wasn't that great in that movie.
Brie Larson might have been the worst actor in Endgame.
I mean, I don't know if that's fair to call her the worst in Endgame because she didn't really have that much to do in Endgame.
Right,
but her overall, like they could have put literally anybody in that role and it would have been fine. So it's just she doesn't really bring a lot to it. I don't really know much about Brie Larson or her other work. I don't know how good of an actress she is or isn't, but I'm just saying in that role, it's like I need a little bit more, and maybe we'll see that in the future. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. But
so wait, so you knew how Endgame was going to end?
Yeah, I did. Well,
like from the comics or from the movie?
I looked it up on Wikipedia.
Okay. Like before you went to see it?
Yeah, a few days before it came out.
Gotcha.
Because didn't want Captain Marvel, or you couldn't stand not knowing if Captain Marvel was going to be the one who saves the day or not.
Yeah,
or
I
something.
couldn't stand not knowing that.
Yeah.
Wow, that was really bothering you.
That was.
Clearly.
So
Like-
what did you think when you read it was Tony?
I was so happy.
Yeah.
I was like, yes, thank God.
Well, there you go.
I was probably the happiest person on planet Earth when I found that out.
Wow.
Literally.
That is high praise. So,
You saw what Disney did to Star Wars, right?
Hey, well, I think
yeah,
to me they're batting.
yeah,
you.
bro, Marco, I can't,
me-
I can't co-sign on that. All right, I like what
I was
Disney's done
just
to
saying.
Star Wars. So
For me, they're too.
let's not open up that can of worms. All right.
Okay.
They're batting 500 for me. I like 2 out of the 4 films that they've made. So in fact I love Force Awakens. Like I love Force Awakens. But anyways.
Yeah, let's that's a whole
let's-
completely different conversation getting into Star Wars.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, just what a cool battle that was, and just seeing sort of all the end scenes and sort of the epilogue, and I mean that funeral scene was incredible. That shot
That was
of
incredible.
Everybody there, and you even had, and you probably wouldn't recognize him, but
I did not.
it was the boy from Iron Man 3, Harley was there.
Yeah.
He's like 17
In fact-
now.
In fact, when I saw that kid in the lineup, I said, why did they? Like, I don't know who that was.
Yeah,
You know?
that was such a cool little nod to that, where it's like, oh yeah, it's Harley, the kid who helped
Yeah.
me out in there. So
Right.
I mean, it's just so many characters in one shot, like so many actors.
Dude, oh my God, dude. I cannot believe that the Russos went to recreate that elevator scene of the Winter Soldier movie.
Yes.
Like, come on, that is like one of my favorite scenes ever, and they recreated that. Of course, that was their movie, and
Yeah.
it was hilarious that he like whispers to them like "Hail Hydra," like
Run low, sit
come
low.
on.
Yeah, it was cool
Back in
seeing.
undergrad, that was our motto.
Say what?
When I was an undergrad, that was our motto, Hail Hydra. Everyone was saying that, literally.
You would say that in
Perfect.
school?
Yeah.
Wow.
Perfect.
Saying it.
Apparently took a few courses at fucking Hydra Academy or wherever. I don't know. Wherever.
Oh man, that was amazing. That was amazing. They got every single character in this movie. It was crazy.
Pretty much, yeah. It's
Not Vision, though.
no,
not
didn't come
Vision.
back. Or Quicksilver.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. Which I'm fine. Which I'm fine with that.
About him.
I'm fine with that. I'm not a big fan of Age of Ultron, so I'm fine with Quicksilver not going back. So.
What about Vision?
Vision, I could take it, either take it or leave it, whatever.
I liked Vision. But yeah,
Can I
so
ask something?
Say what?
I have a question.
Okay.
Can Doctor Strange revive Tony Stark?
I mean, that's a good question.
I don't
know.
I don't think so. I don't think his mystical powers doesn't apply for like Doctor Health powers. It's more of just like astral plane.
I mean, he's a great surgeon, but that only goes so far,
right.
He's a great surgeon.
Yeah.
Say what?
He was a great surgeon, but like the reason why I asked that is you guys remember how in Doctor Strange when he revived Wong, right?
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. He revived Wong?
Did Wong
Yeah.
die in in the movie Doctor Strange?
Yeah, he died, but then when Doctor Strange went to Hong Kong, he revived Wong, and then he's like, "I control Wong." Then Wong.
No, that was the Time Stone.
Yeah, 'cause that was a whole like time reverse sequence. That whole thing.
That was a reverse sequence. Oh yeah, Strange can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
No.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, man. Like when you start to get into characters who can revive people from the dead, that you get into some weird territory there.
He could have reversed the time just for Tony to be alive, but then the snap wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, like that was kind
get
of
it.
the
Like-
thing.
Yeah. So yeah. So he doesn't.
Which
Can't revive him medically.
Which technically,
but, yeah.
he kind of did that in Infinity War.
Hey, yeah.
What are you talking about?
Remember when Thanos stabbed Tony the first time in Infinity War?
Mm-hmm.
And, Strange kind of reversed it, but, it's like...
No. Strange didn't reverse it. Strange didn't reverse it. He
Jesus.
said...
I gotta go back and watch that freaking movie
No,
again,
he said he bargained with Thanos. He said, let him live, and I'll give you... So Thanos, he's not a liar. He basically
Oh, right, yeah.
said
okay.
sure. So...
Oh, my head hurts.
go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think, resurrecting people is probably something Doctor Strange can do.
No.
Who knows, though? You never know with these movies. But, then, I thought the way they kind of ended it with Cap was actually really nice. I mean...
It violated all of their rules that they...
time travel logic notwithstanding, but, I'm glad they at least gave this guy a win and a happy ending.
Yes.
If there was any character who deserved that, it would have been him.
Right.
And, now look, you could... what that means for the timeline with Steve Rogers coming back to life in 1946... You would think that would change everything.
Everything, yes.
But it doesn't.
Yeah,
so
it's are there two Caps running around? Are there two Peggys? Because in the original timeline, Peggy got married and had kids with another guy,
and again, for them, that's the whole thing of them saying, "Oh, you killing Thanos as a baby doesn't affect the present," and it's like. Well, going back in time...
It's so confusing.
Him going back in time shouldn't affect the present either, but it does.
Because you had old man Steve right there.
Right, exactly.
Sitting there looking like Clint Eastwood on the bench. And
yes, so I will say they did a good job as old man Steve Rogers. Yeah. They did a good job with that.
Which, by that point, he would have been over 100 at that point, but that super soldier serum, he's still looking pretty good for that age.
Yeah.
But yeah, he ended up passing on the shield to the Falcon. Sam.
I have a problem with that.
Yeah,
I have a problem
it should have gone to Bucky.
I have a problem with that.
Yeah. Listen, you wanna give the mantra of Captain America to Falcon? Sure. Okay. Maybe that's more of the symbol, but the shield itself, Sam's not gonna be able to do anything with that shield. And let's just say he's fighting somebody.
He's already got these giant wings to worry about.
Yes. So let's say he's fighting somebody a Thanos or a Ronin, and he blocks their punch. He may block it, but man, he's gonna die from all of the from the impact of it all. He's not a super soldier.
Well, plus Bucky actually is a super soldier.
Exactly.
Bucky.
I was waiting for Bucky to go up to old Steve and be like, were you gonna bring me back too?
Yeah, right.
It's that would have been nice.
So watching it a second time, I think he actually did have a moment with Bucky, by themselves, or he had a conversation, because Bucky was not surprised at all when he didn't come back and he knew where to look for Steve. So I think Steve I think they had a conversation.
It's almost...
This is what I'm doing.
It's almost kind of like that Good Will Hunting moment where it's at the end, it's okay, yeah, I knew he got out of town, even though I'm not going to see my buddy again, I know that he's in a better place. So it's that bittersweet moment. He kind of knew. It's
right.
I know what he did. I would have done the same thing. And
but I am glad they showed him having that dance with,
Yeah, they finally got that dance at the end of it.
Yeah, man, that was good.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I would love to see a movie about what his life would have been had he lived through the 50s and 60s and 70s and all that stuff.
And they just might show that.
You never know.
They just might show that. Yeah.
But yeah, it was such a great ending though. if you look past all the time travel craziness, it was great.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
Around the whole universe, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, there was, again, this movie was not perfect. It had big time contradictions with time travel, and of course it had plot holes and conveniences, like major conveniences. But man, was it ever an earned movie for, the fans. And they did such a good job of each scene, giving it like a lot of weight, emotional weight, so that way it's not just like an action scene at the end. It's like, it's a great movie.
It really is, and it was a good sort of final chapter to this particular portion of the MCU. But
they call it the Infinity Saga.
Yeah. I mean, the Infinity Saga might be over, but that doesn't necessarily mean the MCU is over. I mean,
probably can't be over. The MCU is probably the most popular movie franchise ever right now.
Probably.
Yeah. Probably. Yeah. Yeah. It probably is.
At my birthday party, I actually discussed this with a couple of friends of mine, and we agreed that the MCU is to us what Star Wars was to people back in the 70s and the 80s.
Absolutely.
That would make sense. Yeah, of course.
It's definitely on that level. So, I mean, looking
Perhaps
ahead...
even so.
Yeah, maybe. It's hard to measure that, but yeah, looking ahead...
Yeah, because there's some really... I mean, Star Wars is really popular worldwide, so...
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So they're both... I mean, Disney is riding high right now. That's all I can say.
So, let's look... I mean... As far as like the slate of future movies, we know for sure that Spider-Man: Far From Home is coming out this summer.
I'll be getting that.
Yeah.
You know what? I do have to say about that. The only thing about this Spider-Man movie coming out is that which by the way, Spider-Man officially closes the Infinity Saga. Apparently, that's what Kevin Feige says. But the only thing about that is like. Remember, this is 5 years later in the current timeline, but a lot of those kids, I would imagine, either all of them were dusted, or some of them were dusted and they came back, and it's 5. Some of the other kids have to be 5 years older.
Right. That's going to be. I could see that being a problem going forward with some of the movies, because you have half the characters or half the people in the world who got snapped out, and the other half who aged 5 years.
Because think about it,
that's going to be weird.
Even if it's like all the kids got snapped, were part of the ones that were dusted and came back, it's like the whole school facility is going to be like 5 years old, like the faculties and all the whatnots. It's like, but they go ahead. What?
And some of the students there are probably graduating at that point.
Oh yeah, or they're done. They're like a lot of those kids wouldn't even be there. I don't know.
College.
You think there might be like one or two kids who were just left behind, and like, where did everyone go?
Yeah. They're in college.
Damn, I guess school's out early. All right, see ya.
Guys, here's another scenario with them. The teacher's face to dust, and all the kids are like, "Yay, no homework!"
Right?
Yes.
School has been canceled on account of the apocalypse.
Right.
I think the kids would honestly be okay with that.
I mean, to a point, but then once they realize what really happened,
Even if it was what really happened.
Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do, because I think that does take place after Endgame.
Yeah.
I believe it does.
Yep.
So.
Which is why they, in that trailer, there's a scene of a passport, and they completely left out the date on the passport.
Yeah.
And, they'll put it back on there, but they couldn't. There's no way they would have put that date on there before Infinity War or before Endgame.
Because I guess technically that would be 2023 would be the year.
Yes, exactly.
So so that's what's up next. We mentioned some of the shows that are coming out. Some of the new series that are in development. Let's see. They're doing. Do
you think they have?
Well,
they have Is it Bucky and Falcon?
Yeah.
Buddy series, right?
Yeah, Falcon and Winter Soldier are getting their own show. That's going to be on Disney Plus. They're going to add Ghost Rider to Hulu.
Oh no! Ghost Rider fan.
So why oh no, Marco?
I'm not a Ghost Rider fan.
Okay, well let's just don't watch the show then. I don't know.
All right.
All right. I mean, I don't know what to tell you about that, but they're having the What If show, which was I think that's going to be animated. Yeah, the What If, that was a comic series where they would tell these like imaginary stories, like what if the Avengers formed but without Captain America or whatever. So that'll be fun to see. That's going to be on Disney Plus. I guess what am I seeing right now? I guess Wanda and Vision are going to get their own show on Disney Plus.
Oh, that's right. I think I heard.
Maybe they're bringing him back, or maybe that's a prequel. I don't know, but
Elizabeth Olsen, is she?
I
She's
guess
the one.
I don't really know. I'm trying to look. Yeah, it's going to be a limited series. It's going to be with Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany.
She's going to be Wanda again in WandaVision. I'm happy.
Yeah, so it's Scarlet Witch and Vision are getting their own show. Loki's getting a show. I think Hawkeye's getting his own show as well, but that's still in development. And then
I mean, they are making a Black Widow movie. I know that.
Probably going to be a prequel though.
I would imagine it's a prequel.
Yeah, I mean,
it has to be.
Yeah, I would imagine it's a. For sure.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that thing about how Black Widow and Gamora could be revived?
Oh yeah. Let's get into your theory.
Okay, so my theory is, it's that mountain is it requires a soul for a soul, and so, to me, you could probably throw that soul stone back down that mountain, and it's always in an agreement, a soul for a soul, and so I think Steve, he could probably throw it right back down there and just ask for Natasha to come back.
It's okay, I'll give you your stone, but can you give me my friend back?
Yeah, exactly. It's just forever exchange.
By the way,
yeah.
I want to see that movie or that scene, if for nothing else than just to see Cap, talking with the Red Skull again.
Yes.
What would that conversation be? It's like, hey, remember the 40s? So you're doing this now, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, Captain, I'm sorry about all that.
Oh, so I have to. Let's see. Let me think here. Okay, you know what? At first, I was trying to figure out how is Steve Rogers going to go back to return all the stones, but particularly the Soul Stone. First of all,
I'll do you one further. How does he get the ether back into Jane Foster?
Exactly.
That's sexual connotations aside.
I have my own question for that.
Hey now.
Yep.
How can he get back to the present without giving up the time? Oh wait, I just discovered the answer to it.
I think he had to go back to 2012 to give it to the Ancient One.
Yeah. But how does he get to his time?
How does he? No, that's all Pym particle stuff.
Oh, right.
He's traveling through the quantum realm.
Yeah, they snagged a few extra ones when they went back to 1970.
You're supposed to bring back all the stones the moment that they were taken.
Yeah.
Right. So so that way there's nothing else. So that way all the realities get back to normal. And but I was thinking how does he? What about the Soul Stone? What does he do for the Soul Stone? And again, that's what made me think of if he quote mountain, I'm sure it's a soul for a soul. It's the same exact rules.
They could. I mean, they could do that if they want to.
But as far as Gamora, it's they have the Gamora back, but
they have a version of Gamora who has never met the Guardians.
Right. Exactly.
So that's going to be interesting.
She could replace the old Gamora? I don't know.
Yeah, she is the replacement of old Gamora. That's really what it is. Now, I'm guessing they, Steve Rogers, when he throws that stone back, he's not he can get both Gamora and Black Widow.
Yeah, that's probably a bit much, but...
Yeah, but no, because it's going to be, again, it's a soul for a soul. Mm-hmm. There's only one, so that was their workaround, was well, let's bring in the past Gamora to the present,
Yeah.
And yeah, all those experiences she had with Peter Quill are pretty much gone.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Unfortunate.
yeah. So,
But
While we're on the
yeah.
topic of Guardians, I gotta ask, what do you think of Thor Guardians?
What?
What do you think of Thor joining the Guardians of the Galaxy?
I love it.
I actually don't
yeah.
mind it.
I love it.
I think
I
it's
kind of
great.
want to see them do a movie
Yeah.
together.
I do think it's great
Where he's
too.
hanging out
Like,
with the Guardians the whole time.
I loved Thor's interaction with the Guardians in Infinity War.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Oh,
I loved it.
The two
And listen,
Chris's.
I have to say, okay, disclaimer here. I have to say, I'm not the biggest fan of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed the first. I really enjoyed the first one. I really hated the ending of the first one, but I did not. I did not enjoy the second one. It was not. It's really low there on my MCU list.
Gotcha.
So with what the Russos
called
Go
the
ahead.
second Guardians of the Galaxy my favorite movie ever made.
nice.
But the more I watched it, the more I saw its flaws, like with how what's the word, unnecessarily goofy it was.
Yes. Yep. Very goofy. Yeah. And
But-
so with that kind of background, I was completely amazed what the Russos and their team of writers were able to do with the Guardians, because I absolutely loved those scenes, especially with Thor with the Guardians. Like, there were some of my favorite scenes in Infinity War,
Yeah.
you know? So,
So there you go. As far as
here, check this out.
Okay.
So, you know, the ancient one talks again. This is such contradiction and plot holes and whatnot. But the ancient one talks about like, oh, you can't mess anything up. Like, all of our realities are flowing the same exact way. If you take this stone out or whatever, you change this reality. Well, guess what? Like, Thanos, past Thanos went to the future. So basically, that reality that he was in, that he left, he never got the stones, and the snap never happened for that reality.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's all the time travel logic just folding in on itself.
And again, that's what I said. It's really hard to do.
And guys, you have to keep in mind the ancient one didn't follow her own rules either.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's true.
It's just, I mean, if you think about it too hard, your head will explode.
Yeah.
I'm convinced. But
Yeah.
anyways, guys, I mean, you know, we all enjoyed the movie. I think we all kind of have the same opinion of it. We're all just so glad that we got to see this.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
I'm excited I'm curious to see what the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe is going forward. You know, we have Spider-Man announced. The other movies, I'm sure there's going to be another Black Panther movie.
There's going to be.
I'm sure there's going to be a Guardians movie, although I haven't seen like the official
So
announcement for it.
there's already talks about Thor 4 actually
Oh,
being
okay.
yeah. Because Chris Hemsworth, they revealed he signed his new contract with MCU back in like 2017, and it's just now like coming to light that
cool.
he signed a new contract or something like that. So
So he's going to get some more of his own movies. That's awesome.
I'll be curious if he actually is in the next Guardians film, because they can easily write that like, oh, we dropped Thor off at this planet or something like
Right.
that, you know?
Yeah, maybe.
So I'm hoping he is, though. I'm hoping.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen the official announcements. I'm sure Guardians 3 is happening. I'm sure Black
It is.
Panther 2.
Yeah.
I'm
Doctor
sure.
Strange is happening again.
Oh,
Doctor
okay.
Which is,
They're happening.
yep.
Doctor Strange, may very well be the next Iron Man.
You know,
Yeah, that's kind of true. Yeah.
maybe. You know, I'm trying to think what else they have. I think they might. I don't know if they were going to try Inhumans again. They had the show, but they might try a movie version of that.
I don't know about that. So
I haven't heard anything about the X-Men.
I got
Fantastic
two.
Four,
Well,
if
I
they're
got
gonna
two
do that.
things. I got two things for you. So Rocket said the Earth became ground zero for this, for the largest energy wave the universe was seeing when Thanos snapped his fingers, and it showed like this energy wave going around the globe. And I'm like, is that their way of setting up like it affected humans, that as far as like, mutants are concerned, like that's how we start getting mutants?
Maybe that might be how they introduce X-Men into the MCU.
And did you notice that when
X-Men next for the MCU?
Yep. I feel like that's gonna take a little while. I think we're gonna see Fantastic Four before X-Men.
You know what I'd like to see in the MCU?
What's that?
The Defenders, led by Doctor Strange.
Well, I mean, we've seen the Defenders, but it's only been on Netflix.
Oh, it's a show on Netflix?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, you haven't heard about it? It's been the Daredevil. They've had Daredevil, Iron Fist, Luke Cage, and Jessica Jones. That's been going on a couple years now. I think they just wrapped that up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that whole thing, though, is pretty much, I think it's all canceled. It's all been canceled.
I mean, I don't know what kind of deal they have with Disney Plus. There's always a chance they could bring those shows back in some form, but it seems like they're done for now. But I was a fan of those shows. They were really good.
Frankly, I don't pay any attention to Netflix.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, they're there, but
you know what?
Show on Netflix.
Marco, you said like, oh, Doctor Strange could be the new Iron Man.
John, do you agree with me on that?
I could see that, but I think now that I've mentioned Fantastic Four, I could see Reed Richards as the new, Brainiac.
Oh yeah.
Nerd type of guy. So because if
they're gonna bring the Fantastic Four back, who are they going to hire?
Oh well, that as far I don't know, but like the character itself.
Guys.
Say what?
Hopefully not the 2015 dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's not going to happen. They're going to recast that with somebody. Look, guys, I don't want to fan cast this whole thing. We're almost done with this. I'm trying to close this up. Okay.
Well, I have the other thing. The other thing to just kind of is just to look. Again, this was just more. These are just like little Easter eggs that like could possibly help leading to the next thing. And it's like, did you guys notice that like when Black Widow was asking the teams to report like what they've noticed, and you had like Captain Marvel and Okoye and whatever on there. But Okoye said something about like, oh, we noticed some tremors underwater underneath Wakanda or something like that. Yeah. That's the only thing.
You think they're bringing in Namor? That would be awesome.
That's kind of the setup. Like, I feel like that's the setup for a Namor thing, because like in the comics, Namor has like. It's a warring tribe, I guess you could say, against Wakanda, and he floods Wakanda.
Yeah, because Marvel has their own version of Atlantis, don't they? And
yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Nice.
So, anyways, those are two little things that I noticed. I'm like,
yeah, I mean, in a world where Aquaman, made $1 billion, why not Namor? So,
right.
So I mean. That's what we've got as far as there's still a lot of cool things to look forward to. I'm excited to see it. Guys, before we close out, is there anything else you wanted to say or wanted to plug or anything you had going on?
Nothing to promote right now.
Cool.
Yep. Hey man, thanks for having us over.
Thanks for having us back.
This has been a lot of fun. I've really missed doing these, and I don't know when I'm going to put this out, but it'll probably take me a little while to edit it. But I really want to appreciate everyone for sticking around. Hopefully we tried to make this not quite as long as the actual movie. So, but thank you guys for tuning in. Let me know what you thought of Avengers Endgame, and let me know if there are any other movies you want us to talk about. It could be old movies, could be newer movies, could have nothing to do with Marvel. But anyways, for Marco and for John, I am Jack Connor. This is the Phoenix Report. I'll see you later.